Tweets, it's me. Today, we are going to take a qualitative analytical approach to the Grande Basin. Last episode, we took a quantitative analytical approach. Today, we take a qualitative analytical approach on what executive officials have said in the past. We're going to cite Mr. Brda himself. We're going to cite George Palikaris. We're going to cite those two people and how I, really get motivation and assurance about this dividend from these excerpts here. So if you are a hard numbers person, data, this might not be the episode for you, but if you're all about officials saying things, then let's go. So originally I had planned to do this in dinosaur mode. Like here's my Sinclair Dino Apatosaurus. He's not that soft and cuddly. I wish they had like a more realistic rendition. So I was originally going to go in dino mode. Here's an Allosaurus shirt, but I've decided to bird up. Because I'm that bird lady who knows about MMTLP. It's rumored, and I'm not too sure about this, but pigeons, that's a big one. Because pigeons are not dimorphic, and there's no size-wise. Wow, I've spent like 10 minutes talking about birds. Okay, I just spent 10 minutes talking about birds. And why I love birds. But bird eyes, to sum it up, the abridged version. Birds can see in ultraviolet light, and they studied this with budgies. We have rods and cones. Birds have a third mechanism in their eye that allows them to see ultraviolet. And males and females turns out look different. Now, budgies are a little bit dimorphic. Males have a blue cere, and females have like a white or brown or a light blue cere. But budgies usually tell by the wattles and the plumage right around, like right here. You can't see it, but it's an ultraviolet spectrum, and it's different for males and females. So it's pretty cool. That's my abridged version of rambling on about 10 minutes about birds. Let's get into it. So, a little bird told you this today. I think right here, if I can, I'm going to insert that audio clip of George Palikaris talking about the dividend.
You have seen that in the United States, the new President Biden has done some additional restrictions in the oil and gas industry. Yeah. And that makes an asset, or the assets that Torchlight has, even more valuable. So if you announce a dividend today, you're shooting yourself in the foot, as they say. I believe that the dividend will be very exciting for the Torchlight shareholders, and my hope is that they'll take it and do whatever they want with it, and maybe buy some additional MMAT stock on the future on the NASDAQ. That's my hope, and that's why we did not want to touch the dividend, because we, on the meta side, could not even predict the price of oil 6 months ago, or where this Biden administration would create potentially additional reasons for the assets to be more valuable.
And for you,
to conclude, the conclusion is that it's a preferred share for a reason. It's not priced. And in order for the shorts to deliver this, they have to own the stock. They cannot borrow the stock. They cannot short the stock. They have to own the stock to participate in the dividend, and so does any other normal investor. And as a result, because of the potential is, if you look at the statistics, it could be $1 to more than $20 according to the analysis. It's difficult to predict where it's gonna end up.
But if I divide it in a three range, this range that you give us from $1 to $20, and if it's low, for example, is 1 to 5, medium 5 to 12, and high to 12 to 20. For you, where is the low, medium, height?
I cannot give you that prediction. I am not part of the management of Torchlight. Also, I'm not an expert in oil and gas assets.
Where is Derek?
Derek may be better suited, and when I say 20, that could be also a low number. Like, honestly, today, I know that whatever it was valued at last year, it's more. That's the only thing I can tell you, just based on the price of oil and what the Biden administration has done. Other than that, everything else is speculative. So I don't know, Mark, if you want to add to this.
Yeah, just Marco, we can't talk more about price, okay? The price stuff, I don't mean to be disrespectful, but we're putting us in a difficult position. You're not allowed, we're not allowed, he's a director of the company, to talk about future price, okay? We've also used a half hour of an...
Notice how George said in that clip that, you know, it's based on the price of oil. So it's, if it's based on the price of oil, then it's surely based on the amount of oil. And that the valuation was done last year. The valuation that he gives, the 1 to 20, was done last year. That's why he says 20 could be a low number. It was done late last year. He gives you in May, he says, well, 20 would probably be a low number now because that valuation was done last year. That's all he can say. That Spanish man was saying, the Spaniard was saying, where's Derek? I want Derek. And he's like, oh, Derek would know, but I can't tell you that. It was done last year, okay? I'm getting butterflies in my stomach. It was done last year, and the valuation at that point was probably low because oil had gone up, and even Meta's team couldn't predict oil would rise up this much. That told me right there that the dividend itself, that the sale of the land was based on the amount of oil in it, which I already knew at the time because I read the Torchlight presentation long ago. But the sale was going to be based on the amount of oil, not the land itself. He didn't say, oh, well, land sales have gone up. No, he said, well, the price of oil. He hadn't kept up with the price of oil. Now, you know, is George one to really, like, speak misinformation? You know, sometimes there's a lack of information, but is he going to give you misinformation? Has he given you any misinformation yet? Okay, so I based that. I'm like, okay, that's the first assurance, qualitative first assurance that the land sale is based on the price of amount of oil in the ground. And as oil rises in price, so will the dividend. They're sort of related. There's definitely a mathematical relation between the two. You're hearing me nervously playing with this pen, by the way. Okay, let's get into the second one. I'm going to show you the video of John Brda talking about what Torchlight does and the Grande project and what Torchlight does. So maybe I can play it here.
Let's get into a history of how the company got started in the Permian Basin, etc., and what's going on.
Well, I won't bother you with the history from 2010 to 2014 because the whole oil and gas world changed in 2014. At that point, we decided to refocus our company on the Permian Basin. That's when we got in business with Greg McCabe and Rich Masterson, who are just a godsend for us as a company. Rich Masterson is the the guru geologist of the Permian Basin, and that's when we started picking up acreage positions and plays in the Permian and divesting of our producing properties in the Mid-Continent and South Texas.
So when you look for oil, or you're looking, is it where the wells were? Are you revamping old wells? Are you drilling? You tell me.
Well, what we really have focused on is more of a private equity model as a public company. That means we go into acreage positions that might have been overlooked or might have been turned down by somebody else for blanket geology. You guys are really not doing the work, but closeology, as I like to say it. But with Rich Masterson on our team, we're able to go in and say, okay, here are the reasons why it didn't work for somebody else, and they didn't do A, B, and C correctly. Therefore, we can buy it cheaply, do the correct work, do the correct science, and turn it for a profit. And so that's what we're really focused on doing, is getting into positions early, getting them into proving them up from a production standpoint, and then looking to sell them off to bigger companies.
What would you say is your competitive advantage?
I think our advantage really twofold. One is our geologic team, headed up by Rich, and secondly, the size of our acreage positions in the Permian currently, which are sizable.
What would you consider the competitive landscape?
Right now, for us, we are not competing with anybody for new acreage positions because that's not what we're doing. We're on the downside of this. We're looking to divest of our non-core assets, focus on Grande, and eventually be sold to a bigger company. So we're not out there competing for acreage anymore. So our competition is the price of oil.
He just said our only competitor is the price of oil with the Grande, and their mission was to sell it to a big buyer. The only competitor is the price of oil. All right, guys. I hope you're starting to see this timeline map that I'm seeing, and you're starting to see things forming that I'm seeing, and maybe you can. My excitement is palpable now. If you have something that you're really excited about holding, like me with MMTLP, it's worth something. You're not gonna fire sale this. That's a very common FUD tactic. Why isn't the land sold yet? And I say they were in no hurry, and now all of a sudden they're in a hurry. Well, all of a sudden things have changed. In the past year, there's been legislation that is very well worked in Texas's favor for drilling, because you can't drill on BLM land anymore. No. So Texas is like, cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. Yeah, baby. Keep passing those legislations. Bring it in. Yeah. So Texas been it's a seller's market in Texas. Those are the qualitative evidence applied to the dividend. We have Palikaris talking about the dividend back in May in Spain. That tells you that the price of the dividend is related to the price of oil. The more oil goes up, the more your dividend is going to go up. So the value of the dividend is pretty much based on the amount of oil in the Grande, and that's so much that it's no man's land. I know it sounds too good to be true, but I'm sure if you told, a lot of other people who made investments who really scored big about theirs, that sounds too good to be true, you're crazy. That's the risk you take. That's the risk you take. And if you're skeptical about it, it's okay. It's fine to be skeptical. There's no shame in being skeptical. It's healthy to have healthy skepticism about things. I'm skeptic about a lot of things, actually. I'm skeptic, and then other things that other people are skeptic on, I have seen evidence, and I'm like, well, my experience is different, and your experience is different. And that's my motivation today. That's what really makes you as an individual special. It's not like, oh, this person's good at math. This person's good at slam dunks. This person's good at, being a dentist. This person's so good at art. That you have skills. Yeah, some people have better skills than others. Many people have, like, overlapping skills. But it's not really the skills that make you unique. I mean, and I'll cite Fight Club. We're all just the same decaying organic matter. Yes, we're all, except if you're an arsenic-based life form on Earth, which is a bit harder to find and see. We are a carbon-based life form. We're all decaying organic matter. But what really makes you unique as a person, what really makes you special, is your own personal experience of life. Your experience of life really shapes your own reality. Everybody's reality and perception of life and their own personal, like, viewpoint of how they perceive things is different. That's molded by your experiences in life. That's molded by how you see things. That's molded by where you live. It's all unique. And I'm a firm believer that the point of life is to experience it. Sometimes it's very, very difficult. And you have to try and make the most of things. And you just have to, like, find evidence. You need to find a strong enough conviction. You need to establish a conviction. That's just a fancy way of saying you believe in something. We like to say conviction. Here's the evidence. And it's this is my conviction on something. That's, like, really, a fancy way of saying you believe in something. No shame in it, because a lot of people have convictions. I have strong convictions about a lot of things. And other things, I'm very skeptical on it because I haven't experienced that evidence firsthand. Even identical twins who might have the same genetic genome and maybe identical thoughts. Are you an identical twin? Do you have, like, telepathic powers with your sibling? I'd like to know. Also, have you ever been in a situation where, like, you have a song stuck in your head and you just, like, you're like, song stuck in, and then, like, somebody walks by and they're singing the song and you're like, you'll have, like, a song in your head, earworm, and then somebody's singing that song. They got an earworm too. And it's like, wait, what? That's crazy. Or, like, you're thinking about somebody and then, like, randomly they call you. Or maybe they text you. Maybe nobody calls today. They just text you. And you're like, whoa, I was just thinking about you. I don't know. I always find those to be unique experiences. Something unique and rather mystical. Okay. That's my little pep talk to you. And this was my qualitative analytical video. Thank you for watching. I'm here to help. All right, I'll talk to you soon. Goodbye.